Hello, and welcome to Panama, the continental crossroads that connect North and South America. I'm Danae Bucci, and I'm one of 12 Northeastern University journalism students traveling to the country to tell the most fascinating stories about its people and the culture. We begin here in Casco Viejo, the historic district of Panama City, where two Panamanian staples are set to make a global impact. They're a familiar sight in cities across the world. But as Panama experiences an economic boom, this budding industry is trying to capitalize on the country's newfound place in the global market.
I was surprised by how much the coffee and chocolate culture is strong here. I was not so much aware about it, and I found out that it's really strong.
Luxurious and exotic coffees are a well-known delicacy in Central and South America. And these Panamanian entrepreneurs are trying to make their country into a global destination. Think Napa Valley, but for coffee.
At the long run, what is going to make it sustainable is the coffee tourism. Panama has a tourism crisis. We are creating a new tourism in the coffee industry, little by little growing fast.
Even in its infancy, the specialty coffee industry is already giving Panama global acclaim.
This is the only place in the world where people can come and have a tasting, where coffees will have an array of different flavors, and they're all the same variety, and they taste all very different.
Panama's prime location makes it an ideal place to create a perfect cup of joe.
In a geographical position that's in the middle of the equatorial line. All the products, all the fruit products that grow here, including coffee, cacao, and tropical fruits, have a better quality than the rest of the world.
The beans for coffee are primarily grown in the Bocas del Toro region in a town called Bocao. The region has a high elevation and is sandwiched between a dormant volcano, which has the highest peak in the country, a large mountain range, and the continental divide, all within just a few miles of each other, creating some of the most nutrient-dense soil in the world.
The microclimates that Panama creates within the country create the perfect habitat.
The variety of climates is what creates such a unique and sought-after product, which isn't just popular with consumers, but in global competitions too.
My friends from Panama, Rachel.
The capital of coffee is Panama. It has beaten all the world record prices in any auction. It has won more competitions than any other country.
And it's changing everything around it.
And our next competitor is Wilford Lamastus Jr. from Bajareque Coffee House, representing Panama. Welcome, judges.
The geisha coffee is Panama's most globally recognized luxury food item, putting up a hefty and record-breaking price tag.
The first time a geisha coffee competed in the best of, that's the name of the competition, the Best of Panama competition. It was the Peterson, that was the year of the discovery. It broke the record for the highest bid in a coffee auction. It was $21 a pound.
Since then, it's become a spectacle for tourists to see.
It was quite expensive, so I think I'm not used to pay so much for coffee. So yeah, I have to think about it. It's very expensive. Yeah, but it was worth trying it, definitely. It's worth trying it.
So I'm gonna serve a little bit to you to try. I know you're not a coffee drinker.
The potential of that paradise wasn't fully tapped into until recently.
People don't understand it because it's pretty young as an industry. It's only 30 years, this specialty coffee-ish kind of market, free market. So if we compare it to the industry of wine that has hundreds and hundreds of years, of course, we are not at those levels yet. I have here the time, the weight, and that way I can have the consistency on the brew.
Wilford Lamastus Jr. is hoping Panama's newfound success in the global stage will propel the country into a new light after years of obscurity.
What we are doing is we're trying to lift up the image of this country.
And after the success of Panamanian coffee, other industries took notice.
So Panama has a full potential to become a hub for cacao tourism for all the world, because our cacao is great quality and we have a good location for people to come in and out.
Panamanian chocolates are typically grown in the same region as coffee, where the same variants in flavors are seen.
You're gonna have very good quality cacaos in the world, but none is gonna taste like the Panamanian cacao, and vice versa.
And that quality seeps into public discourse.
I think from one side is that there's a lot of national pride in the country. We support what we produce, and the quality of this production is above the average.
So as these industries reach their potential, Panama is becoming a player on the world stage. Panamanians have been handcrafting the traditional sombrero pintao hat like this one for centuries. The procedures of preparing the plants and weaving the hats are now recognized as an intrinsic part of Panamanian culture and identity.
A traditional Panamanian wedding unfolding on the streets of Casco Viejo. As the bride and groom dance, you can hear tipico, folkloric music in the background. The men play the congo and accordion while wearing the traditional sombrero pintao. These hats have been significant for centuries and worn in traditional weddings and dances. Inside his artisanal shop in the center of La Pintada, where the sombrero pintao originates from, you can find Ronaldo Quiros, one of the most famous hat makers in the region.
El sombrero panameño tiene mucho significado. Para el panameño, hasta la forma de usar el sombrero tiene significado.
Quiros has been recognized all over the world for sharing the important role that the sombrero pintao holds in Panama's culture.
Usar el sombrero cubriéndose los ojos representa una persona que guarda muchos secretos. Si lo usamos un poco más arriba, representa una persona sencilla. Si lo uso de esta otra forma, representa una persona inteligente. Si lo uso un poco más arriba, representa una persona fuerte y trabajadora. Si lo uso de medio lado, representa al hombre tomador, al borracho, mentiroso y enamorador.
UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, recognized the skill of handcrafting the hat as a vital part of Panamanian culture. The natural process of preparing the plants and weaving the fibers encourages a source of identity as it's passed down from one generation to the next.
Yo pienso que es importante porque eso le da como especie de un reconocimiento al trabajo del artesano que muchas veces no se le reconoce, pues esa forma de conservar viva la cultura, ¿no?
Emma Gomez left her job as a television broadcaster to share her passion for culture as the head of a project safeguarding intangible cultural heritage in Panama. Gomez and her team presented the sombrero to UNESCO to gain its recognition.
Hombres y mujeres, no hay distingo de quién hace sombreros. Todos trabajan las trenzas para poder hacer el sombrero. Y ese es un factor muy importante que te preguntan en UNESCO, si hay viabilidad, si hay relevo generacional.
Maritza Mendoza has been making sombreros since she was a young girl. She now works at the Sombrero Pintao Museum in La Pintada. The hat holds pride for many Panamanians, but the UNESCO acknowledgement meant even more to artisans like Mendoza because their work and culture are finally being recognized.
Es muy importante porque nos le dan valor a nuestro trabajo que nosotros hacemos con nuestras manos.
Lo he ido experimentando a través del tiempo, que sí fue importante, porque cada vez que llegan más turistas interesados en conocer acerca del sombrero. Así le enseñamos nuestra identidad, porque a veces conocemos muchos países que no tienen esa tradición.
Para los artesanos ha sido muy, pero muy significativo. Y de esta manera ellos se sienten orgullosos y le hacen sentir a sus hijos también que lo que están haciendo y aprendiendo es valioso para ellos, para su identidad y porque hace grande al país.
Panamanians like Gomez are working every day to keep the tradition alive.
Y entre los puntos que nosotros tenemos en el plan de salvaguardia, uno es tratar de que haya espacios para que ellos mismos vendan sus sombreros y no tengan que pasar por los costos de los intermediarios que a veces se quedan con buena parte de la ganancia. Que no solamente se ocupen de hacer sombreros y hacer toda la variedad de piezas que se pueden hacer con la misma técnica. Entonces estamos trabajando también para que haya reglamentaciones de leyes que protejan el ecosistema del sombrero pintado.
Tengo mis hijos, mis nietos que logren a que eso cuando tenga más valor, ellos logren lo que yo les enseñé y lo que nuestro distrito nos ha dado, la acogida pues, de nuestro trabajo, que es la artesanía.
Reporting from Coclé, Panama, Katarina Radisic, Northeastern University.
Now we're taking you 17 miles from the city to the Mamoní Valley Preserve. That's where we found a group that's working to save the rainforest.
Deep in the Panamanian rainforest, a group of biologists and ecologists live in a self-sustaining community. Dedicated to reforesting the Mamoní Valley, Geoversity has worked to reforest hundreds of acres of cleared land. They created this preserve almost 2 decades ago to educate people about the devastation caused by deforestation. The valley lies on the narrowest part of the Western Hemisphere, with only 30 miles separating the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. The continental divide, the peaks that separate the two oceans' watersheds, runs through here.
Not only are we in the continental divide, but you are at the narrowest part of all of the Americas. In bringing the forest back, we're able to sequester the carbon, obviously, but we're also able to have the natural environment have its biodiversity. Also, it creates the sponge for protecting the watersheds, and that allows us to also have clean drinking water for the communities that are downstream, and in general have a healthy natural environment. We found a little termite mound.
That rich biodiversity makes it a target for illegal tree poachers and farmers who want to use the land for cash crops and cattle pastures.
We're gonna go silent so we can catch the chainsaws.
As a result, the grinding of chainsaws occasionally cuts through the normally serene sounds of the forest. The Mamoní Valley Preserve has been working to stop illegal deforestation.
And coming up the ridge here, we earlier started hearing these chainsaws, which we can still hear in the background. And it was concerning because a lot of the land around us in this particular area is ours. It could be cutting down a 100, 200-year-old tree that, would take a lot of time to recover.
Farmers have adopted deforestation techniques like burning fields and using harmful chemicals. But these practices wreak havoc on the region's rich biodiversity and resources.
Purchasing properties that have farmland on it, usually cattle pasture, and then we let that cattle pasture either naturally come back on its own, or in some areas we go with groups and we do reforestation.
The Mamoní Valley's rainforests cover more than 1,300 acres of land, which is home to a rich array of creatures and plants that rely on these resources.
We have a knoll family lizard right here.
That includes monkeys, toucans, jaguars, and the bullet ant, which unleashes one of the most painful insect stings in the world.
Most Panamanian river valleys, the rivers will flow from north to south or from south to north. But here you have actually one that goes from west to east, so it's a very enclosed ecosystem.
The remote valley is 2 hours by car from Panama City and over an hour from the nearest highway. Visitors have to drive SUVs through rivers and hole-pocked dirt roads to reach the facility. In the middle of the valley, 11 open-air cabanas house the employees and their research operation. Since 2001, staff and volunteers have rotated through the facility year-round to maintain the site, host visitors, and conduct scientific research. The site runs on a solar and hydroelectric power system. The facility's furniture and even the pool are hand-constructed with sustainable materials. Paul Verkade is an 18-year-old gap-year student from Holland. He was traveling through the region for a month and worked at the facility in exchange for room and board after a small initial daily fee.
We just help with day-to-day tasks. That's what I basically do here because I'm here for such a short time, only a month.
Geoversity grows some of the food its staff and visitors eat and plans to eventually grow all of it. The preserve also harvests its own construction materials, such as bamboo for building and palm leaves for roofing.
We plant bamboo partly because we wanted it to be used as a building material. Because if bamboo is used as a building material, it means people will chop less forests for wood if you have a fast-growing renewable resource you can plant. That's part of the idea of promoting the use of bamboo in Panama.
Today, the preserve is thriving, with 652 acres of reforested land and another 1,480 acres growing back on their own.
Around us here, we're looking at all of the property that is currently within the Mamoní Valley Preserve. And around 12 or so years ago, back here was pretty much all cattle pasture with cows walking on it. And with the amazing help of volunteers, we were able to reforest this. And now you can hardly even tell that cows once roamed in this area.
Reporting from Panama, this is Alyssa Lukpat.
These are just some of the people and places of Panama. To see more about this country, be sure to visit our online magazine. Reporting in Panama City, Danae Bucci, Northeastern University.